Hey, it's me in my hat again. Yep, because I'm doing this recording right after my last one. So this is 7.5. I hope you had a good time with percents, decimals, fractions, because it's about to get real. 7.5 is about percent of change. It's not a hard concept if you don't allow yourself to become confused. So let me put it this way. If I have 10 kids in my running class, all right, 10 kids in my class, after school or whatever, and then another kid says, hey, I want to join. So I have 10, and I'm going to put my hand here like this. Here's how many I have. Here's 0 down here. Now I have 10, okay? If we get one more, that puts us to 11. 1 out of 10, because I had 10, all right, here's 11, here's 10. One more is what percent of 10? 1 is what percent of 10? Well, it's 10% of 10, actually, right, because it's a tenth, which is 10%, so 1 is 10% of 10. So what is the percent of change? We changed from 10 to 11. Well, how much did we change? Was it like a 50% change? No. A 50% change would mean, what is 50%? Let's see if I can get my other hand in here. 50% of 10 is 5. So a 50% change, a 50% increase would be 5, because that's 50%, added on top, we'd be at 15. But we just have one kid. We're at 11. Well, 1 is 10% of 10, and so it is a 10% increase to 11. Let's use another example here in your book. I'm going to repeat a couple examples here because if that one didn't make sense, stick with it, okay? It can become clear. And even if at some point it's not super clear up here, we have a formula here for you to use that you'll be able to do all right. Okay, but check this out. Look at this cute little bear. This is interesting. During the summer, a bear's heart rate is about 60 beats per minute. That's pretty normal. That's about like what we do, 1 beat per second. Boom, dum, dum. But it can drop to as low as 8 beats per minute during the winter. Hibernation is pretty cool. Our heartbeat drops when we sleep, but to like maybe 40, 50, for some people 60, depending on how fit you are. But a bear, hibernation is a whole different level, all the way down to 8 beats per minute. What is the percent of change in a bear's heart rate from the summer rate to the winter low rate? Okay, I'm going to skip this paragraph because it's a little bit confusing. But let's just think about this for a sec. It was at 60. Okay, that's normal. Now it's way down at 8. We call that a percent decrease because it went from here all the way down to here. What is that percent of change? Here's the formula to figure that out. You're going to have to keep coming back to this, or you put this in your notes. The percent of change, here's how you do it. P percent, okay, that's percent of change, that stands for percent of change, equals the amount of the increase or the decrease over the original amount. So with our bear, our original amount was 60, right? 60 beats per minute, that's normal. What was our amount of, well, we didn't increase our heartbeat, we decreased. How much did we decrease? We went from 60 all the way down to 8. Now, look, I'm asking you how much we decreased, not what the final number is. Do not put 8 up here. That wasn't how much we decreased. No, we decreased by, what's 60 minus 8? 52. That was our amount of decrease. So look at example 1 way down here. They just plug these numbers in. 60 minus 8 to find how much we decreased, 52. 52 out of 60, because 60 was the original amount. So now we've got a fraction. You could do that fraction on your calculator. calculator on your calculator, and you would get 0.86 repeating. Now it asked us for the percent of decrease or the percent of increase, the percent of change. Both of these, percent of increase and percent of decrease, are both percents of change. So we got to change that to a percent, which you just did yesterday. Don't you just love how that just lines itself up nicely? So what is that in percent? Move the decimal place 2 places to the right. 86.7, they rounded the 6's up to 7, 86.7%. So the bear is at 60 beats per minute, and that number, 60 BPM, beats per minute, changes by 87% to come all the way down to 8. Okay, all right, I can handle this. So let's see what we can do. I've got a piece of paper here, a nice new crisp white piece of paper. A school has 825 students enrolled last year. This year there's 870. Sounds a lot like LCJA, right? Man, just got kids pouring out our nostrils. Now I wouldn't want that many. Anyway, school had 825. This year they have more. How much more do they have? Let's just use our formula. Put the amount of change. Was this an increase or a decrease? It's an increase. By how much? 70 minus 25. 45? Yes. That's going to be 45. Watch. Bingo. 45. Out of the total. What was the total? Sorry, not the total. What was the original amount? 825. 45 divided by 825 on the calculator gives you this. That, by the way, means it's 4 or 5, 4 or 5, 4 or 5. Writing that as a percent, move it over 2 places. 5 point. They round that 4 up to a 5 because a 5 makes it go up. 5.5%. So if someone says, hey, we had 100% increase in enrollment, that means if you had 500 kids at your school and you had 100% increase, what's 100% of 500? 500. So 100% increase means you doubled. So that means you'd have 1,000 kids. But here we have 825 and we moved up to 870. That's, an increase of 45 kids. Well, 45 out of 825, the original amount, is about 5.5%. So, cool. All right, as long as you stick to that formula, you're going to be all right. You will be okay. Let's do one more. Sorry, it might not be one more. We'll see where this goes. Decimal method. Different method of doing this. A shortcut to finding a percent of a number is to write the percent as a decimal and then find the product of the decimal and the number. For example, 10% of 60 is 0.10 times 60. Yes. If you do not know this, you need to know this. How to find the percent of something? What is 45% of 8,000? The word of in math always means multiply. But you can't multiply a percent by something. You've got to change it to a decimal. Alright, so you would just do 0.45 times 8,000, and that number would tell you what 0.45 of 8,000 is, what 45% of 8,000 is. You gotta know this. Let's say you're buying a road bike. My first road bike, I lived in Walla Walla, Washington. Washington had sales tax, Oregon didn't. So I drove to Portland, because this is going to be a big purchase in the $1,000 range, $1,000 to $2,000. So I drove down to Oregon to not have to pay sales tax. I think sales tax was like 9%. So if my bike, we'll just use round numbers, if my bike cost $10,000, oh, I wish it cost $10,000, but it didn't. But if it cost $10,000 in Washington, and I'm trying to think, but they're going to charge me sales tax, I'm trying to figure out how much that is, because maybe I should make the trip to Portland. Well, what is 9%? I think it's 9% of sales tax, or I don't know. Let's say it's 9%. What is 9% of 10,000? Okay, this is a life skill. You got to know, how do you find a percent of a number? 9% of 10,000 is just, change that to decimal, and it's not 0.9. That's 90. That's 90%. 9%, move the decimal place 2, is 0.09 times of is the same as times 10,000. 0.09 times 10,000, we should be able to move our decimal place 4 over because of the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 would be, is that, oh yeah, that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, yeah. So $900. Did you hear that? If you bought a bike for $10,000, okay, let's say a car, for $10,000, and you have to pay sales tax of 9%, you're paying an extra $900. Is it worth the gas and the time to drive down to Portland or drive across the border to the state that doesn't charge sales tax? Yeah, it is at that price, isn't it? So finding a percent of a number, you got to know how to do that. That's what they were describing here. So let's do this Everglades, and I think that's the last example. I think, oh yeah, I saw Everglades there. All right, from October to November, 1 year. That's just, let's think about this. October to November, that's just 1 month, right? There was about 27.4% increase in attendance at Everglades National Park. There were 59,084 visitors in October. How many people visited in November? Oh, so now they're giving you the original amount. They're telling you it's increasing by that much. What is the new amount? Ooh, tricky, tricky. I wonder if they use our same formula here. Okay, so let's find the increase. Here is our original amount, and the increase, 27.4%, is 27.4% of that original amount, and then we're going to add it on top of the original amount. Okay, so 27.4% of 59,084 is, multiply it like that, okay, is 16,189. Your answer is not 16,000. Were there, think about this, in November, were there 16,000 people at Everglades in November? No, there were 59,000 in October. And it said it increases. No, it's not 16,000. It's 59,084 plus the 16,189 gets you your total. And that's what they do here. 59. So add the increase to the original amount. So the new amount is that plus that, 75,273. Let's take a quick gander at your assignment for today. Find the new amount. 78 is decreased by 22%. 78 is decreased by 22%. 22% of what? 22% of 78. 78 is the original amount. So what is 22%? I'm going to write it as a decimal of 78. You know, I probably better do this one. So I'm going to whip this out. What is 22% of 78? I will tell you very soon. 0.22 times 78. 17.16. That's not our final answer. That's how much it's decreased by. So now I got to do 78 minus 17.16, I believe that was, 60.84. So la-da-da-da-da, the final answer was 60.84. Now check and see if your answer makes sense. 78 is decreased a little bit. 22% isn't a ton, but it's kind of substantial, you know. Yeah, it goes down a little bit to 60.84. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Let's do Let's do one of these down here. How about number 10? You're going to probably have to do this one. So 12,000. Tell whether the change is an increase or a decrease. Then find the percent of change. 12,200 voters to 13,908 voters. That is obviously an increase. Okay, I would write this down on my answer spot. That is an increase. How big is that increase? Flip back, look at this. What is the percent of change? The amount of increase over the original amount. So I know the original amount is 12,200, but what is the increase? I'm going to have to do 13,908 minus, doing that over here, minus the 12,200 to find out what the increase was. That was the increase, 1,708. All right, so there's the increase over the original amount. Now I'm going to actually divide 1,708 divided by 12,200 equals 0.14 is the decimal. 0.14. But that's not the percent. That's decimal form. What is this in percent form? Move it 2 over. It's 14%. That is the percent increase. Okay. Alrighty then. I think you can do it. You can do it.